April 3rd. 13. Augustus, Emperor of Rome, signed his will, bequeathing to the Roman people 40 million sesterces, about $1,600,000, and divorced the two Julias, his daughter, and granddaughter, from his sepulchre. It was written upon 2 skins of parchment. 33. Jesus Christ, our Savior, crucified. 68. Galba accuses Nero before the people of his enormities, and elects himself lieutenant of the state. 1068. William, the Conqueror, again imposes the tax of Danegel, which occasioned an armed opposition at Exeter. 1143. John II Comnenus, Emperor of the East, died. He ascended the throne of Constantinople on the death of his father, was victorious over the Mohammedans and other foes, and swayed the scepter with wisdom and ability. 1367. Battle of Navarrete, and victory of Edward the Black Prince, by which Peter the Cruel was replaced on the Castilian throne. 1421. Battle of Bioggi, in France, when the Duke of Clarence and 1,500 English were slain. 1617. John Napier, Baron of Merchiston, died. He was born in Scotland, in 1550, and after completing his education traveled on the continent. On his return he devoted himself to the cultivation of science and literature, became a distinguished mathematician, and was regarded by Kepler as one of the greatest men of the age. He is known as the inventor of logarithms for the use of navigators. 1646. Thomas Lydiat, an English chronologer, died. He early devoted himself to literature, became an able scholar, and was deservedly esteemed by the learned of the times. 1707. Edmund Dickinson, a learned English physician, died. He was appointed physician to Charles II and his successor, and retired from practice to become an author. 1717. James Ozanam, an eminent French mathematician, died. He taught mathematics at Paris, and acquired property, but the Spanish War reduced his finances, and the death of his wife and 12 children embittered his last days. His works are numerous and valuable. 1736. John Albert Fabricius, a learned German, died at Hamburg. He was an indefatigable scholar, of great modesty and simplicity of manners, and so highly esteemed by the citizens of Hamburg, that when invited elsewhere, the Senate prevailed on him by a superior salary, not to relinquish his residence among them. 1760. James Benninus Winslow, an eminent Danish anatomist, died. He went to Paris, where his talents were appreciated and rewarded. 1763. All the gibbets on the Edgware Road, on which many malefactors were hung in chains, near London, were cut down by unknown persons. 1764. The Archduke Joseph chosen and crowned King of the Romans. 1775. New York Colonial Legislature held its last session. 1783. Treaty of Amity and Commerce for 15 years between the United States and Sweden concluded by Franklin. 1791. John Berkenhout, a literary and medical character, died. He was the son of a Dutch merchant, and experienced many vicissitudes. First served in the Prussian, and afterwards in the English army. Studied medicine at Leiden, and in 1778 came with certain commissioners to America, where he was imprisoned by Congress, on which account he enjoyed a pension from the British government. 1792. George Pocock, an English admiral, died. He signalized himself by the capture of Havana, and many other important services. 1793. Dumouriez, the French general, who escaped from the lines, under the repeated fire of 3 battalions, joined the Austrians, accompanied by several other officers. 1811. Partial action on the Co., near Sabugal, between the advanced posts of the British, and a division of the French army under Massena, who was defeated, and the French expelled from Portugal. 1813. Action near Urbana, on the Chesapeake, between 17 British barges and 2 schooners, and 3 letters of marque and 1 privateer of Baltimore. Captured. 1814. The French Conservative Senate solemnly decreed that Bonaparte had forfeited the throne, and released all persons from their oaths of allegiance to him. 1815. Eruption of Mount Tomboro, on the island of Samoa, distant about 800 miles from Batavia, in the Indian Ocean. 1816. Treaty of peace concluded by Lord Exmouth, commanding the British fleet before Algiers, between the Dey and Sardinia, and 51 Sardinian prisoners liberated. 1816. Thomas Machen, an officer of the Revolution, died at his residence in Schoharie County, New York, aged 72. He was a British officer at the Battle of Minden, and an American officer during the whole War of the Revolution. The chain across the Hudson at West Point was constructed under his direction, and he was wounded at Bunker Hill and Fort Montgomery. 1826. Reginald Huber, Bishop of Calcutta, died. He was zealous in his calling, and no doubt accelerated his death by his devotion to the cause of his master. He ranks high among the British poets. 1829. Safety Banking Fund in the state of New York established. 1833. Nicholas Ypsilanti, an officer of the Greek Revolution, died, at the age of 35. 1838. M. Antomarchi, physician of Napoleon at St. Helena, died at St. Jago de Cuba. He was a native of Corsica, and left a professorship at Florence, in order to accompany the exiled emperor. He attended him in his last moments, of which he has given an account, and received a legacy of 100,000 francs. He afterwards practiced medicine in Paris, where he published a series of beautiful and expensive anatomical plates. On the revolt of the Poles he hastened thither, and took the direction of the medical establishments. 1854. John Wilson, a Scottish author, died, aged 69. He is well known as the Christopher North of Blackwood's magazine. 1856. Gorham A. Worth, a New York financier, died, aged 72. 1856. President Comonfort returned to the city of Mexico after a triumph at Puebla, where the rebel army surrendered to him, and where the rebel generals were reduced to the rank of privates.